Hello? 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 I wanted to record a message for you to help you get settled in on your first night here in a retrospective video made by a small-time YouTube creator. For your first week here, we want to ease you in with a retrospective video on the Five Nights at Freddy's games.
That guy sounded really familiar. But I'm gonna do it, because what else am I gonna do until 6 a.m.? Five Nights at Freddy's was released on July 23rd, 2014, just under 6 years ago, which is pretty crazy. It doesn't feel like it's been that long, but time flies, I guess. I actually didn't hear about the first game until nearly the release of the second game, so I don't have a lot of experience with the first game, of the hype and everything, but I do have, some stories to tell. I know, for example, that the first game got massively popular in August when Markiplier made his first video on it. You can actually see on Google Trends interest over time in July goes from 0 to in August it goes and jumps up to 10 out of 100. Definitely not the series peak, but a huge increase for an indie horror survival game. I remember when I first heard about the series, I was actually at a friend's house. See, he had just found the series and he was like, yo, Henry, you gotta look at this. This here, the funny red hair dude, he playing it. Green hair man also plays it. This is epicness. Super rad. Like a boss. It was 2014. We spoke differently. I remember listening to all the music for it. You remember the Living Tombstones song. That ditty. Yeah, I remember there was this animated version that some fan made, and it looked so cool to me back then. I can't find it now, but I just remember looking at this and being like, whoa, that's awesome. I want to do that. Which kind of a little bit set me up to draw. I mean, of course, I let myself down now. Of course, there was obviously the theories about what the game was about, but really it was much more simpler then. Kids dead, robots possessed, bada beam, bada boom, pizza. But like I said earlier, I didn't really get into the series with the first game because, well, I wasn't around really for the first game. I found out about it way too close to the second game's launch, which is really where my enthusiasm for the series really starting.
Hello? See, I told you your first night wouldn't be a problem. You're a natural. You fit right in here. Just continue to do the retrospective, and this week will go by like that.
Why do I get a new office each night?
It's our company policy.
Okay. Anyways, like I said last time, I didn't really get into the series until the release of the second game. Like I said, I got into the first game at the very end of its life cycle, just before the second game came out. The first teasers were coming out for the second game. I remember this game sparked whole new slew of theories. Purple guy, phone guy, purple guy, animatronic, question mark. Epic. Again, 2014. I don't speak much differently. I remember this was actually the first Five Nights game that I actually played. I got it for the iPhone 4 by Apple. Sponsor me. I got it for iOS on Thanksgiving Day of that year. I was scared of it back then. Nowadays, I realize, oh, jump scare. But back then, I was really just scared of it. It had a much bigger atmosphere. Or not bigger, creepier is what I would describe. The atmosphere felt bigger back then, is what I think I mean by that. And it's more prevalent in the first game, but the second game, the animatronics were creepy, they were old, decrepit, and I mainly just think that probably because I hid in the Freddy mask all the time. Yeah, I was a very big scaredy cat of this game, and I just hid in the Freddy mask the whole time. This led me to obviously be jump scared by Withered Foxy, and it just scared me so much that whenever I think of the game, all I think of is Withered Foxy. not a bad thing to think of. He's such a nice animatronic. I remember I got stuck on night 2 specifically because of that reason. And the only way I was able to beat it was with a whole lot of effort. It took me so long to beat night 2. And even then, like, I beat it, like, Foxy was doing his jump scare, and just before, like, it would have registered the kill, it was like, oh, it's 6 a.m. And I was saved by the bell. But I actually think a lot of people jumped on with this second game and were able to tell all their friends and stuff about it, which led to the next game being the absolute peak of the Five Nights at Freddy's series.
Hello. Today's lesson we will be continuing our training on retrospective video production. Phone dude out.
Okay, now this is just ridiculous. Is this a horror attraction? I thought I worked at a pizzeria. Anyways, this actually reminds me a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's 3, which, like I mentioned last night, was the peak of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. I think what happened was not a lot of people heard about the first game until Markiplier's video in August, which was just before the release of the second game, which got a lot more popular and a lot more people attached to it because of things like game theory and the Let's Plays of it. And then, because there were a lot of people with the second game, they were able to be excited. They got their friends excited. They got their family excited. Maybe, probably, I don't know. And that just pushed this third game out of proportion. When I say out of proportion, you might think that means I don't like the third game. I like it quite a bit, actually. I just don't think it's really that great. I don't like the idea of just one animatronic. I mean, I get that Springtrap is meant to be like the main antagonist of the series, you know, William Afton. And I get that he's a really cool animatronic. But I think the Phantom animatronics should have been able to kill you too. And, you know, you could have done some cool things like, you know, called the Ghostbusters. They'd, you know, get their proton packs out, suck up the ghosts, whoop-de-doo, you get high fives. Later on, Springtrap gets shoved into a dumpster and lit on fire. Like, that's just how the third game should have gone instead of this. Press button, plays an audio cue, maybe he'll go there. I could never get it to work. I got to night 3, please help. But this wasn't the peak in my interest in the series. I was really interested far into the series. But this was the peak of the entire series. And you know what? It didn't end on a bad note. This was meant to be the final game. It had a lot of plot changes. It tied up loose ends really nicely. You know, it was good. It was a good ending. And then the next one happened. I'm homesick, so the retrospective continues here. The fourth game was the height of my excitement for the series. I don't think I will ever get as excited for another game in the FNAF universe as I was for the fourth game. It was my peak in the series. And that's not to say I don't like the new games. I just can't get into them as much as I could the fourth game. I was super excited for this game. Anytime a teaser dropped, I was on YouTube looking at it, seeing what I could gather from the teaser. You know, oh, it's Freddy with the freckles. Oh, was it me? Oh, it's Foxy. It's Chica with those teeth. I was super excited. There was game theory videos, you know. I was watching them. I was excited. And then the game released, and I couldn't play it because the iOS port wasn't out yet. Then the iOS port came out, and I played it. And at the time, I really liked and really disliked it. But over time, my opinions have actually kind of flipped on certain things. When I first started playing the game, I really, really liked the animatronic designs. I thought they were creepy. I thought they were cool, ghoulish. But now I kind of just think, they're kind of my least favorite designs, actually, of the whole series. I think that they're trying to be too edgy, too over-exaggerated, and too try-hardy, would that be the word? They aren't bad designs, but I just can't get behind them anymore. But something that it changed for the better with my opinions on this game is the gameplay. When I first started playing this, I thought it was dumb that you had to listen for whispering or breathing, and that you had to have no security monitors. Oh, it was heresy, I say. Blasphemy! But now I like them better. I think without the security monitor, it's a lot more difficult, and I really like that in this game. And listening for the breathing, it's so atmospheric. I think it sounds really creepy and just, ooh. It's what the game should strive to do. It sounds good. It looks good. It's a good game now, in my opinion. The only thing I really just can't get behind are the animatronic designs, and also somewhat the story. I get it. It's a story about haunted murder robots from the 80s. But dear Lord, this is where the series kind of goes. The killer stays the killer, but now there's new killer on accident, and then there's a different type of yellow text with "I will put you back together." Then it goes from the byte of 87 to the byte of 83, which I think's dumb. It should have been 87, but no, it's 83 now. Ooh, what's that about? We still don't know what that is. Why is Chica missing a beak? Was it a dream? What's in the box? This just got way too convoluted in my opinion. But this is definitely the most atmospheric of all the games. It's dark, it's edgy, and everything but the animatronic designs is edgy and dark in a good way. Overall, this is definitely, in my opinion, the highest the series has been and probably will remain.
Welcome back to your last day on the job. That is, the last day of your first week here at Henepp Retrospective Videos.
Am I in an underground elevator? What the fuck? Well, it's my 5th and final day on the job. I can change out of this shirt. FNAF 5, otherwise known as Five Nights at Freddy's sister location, which I'm just gonna call sister location for the sake of convenience. It's got too many names. First complaint was definitely the decline of my interest in the series. I really liked the game. I thought it was way better than the 4th, maybe better than the 3rd one. I don't know. I like how you had different tasks each night. I thought that was way more believable. I liked the animatronic designs. I love Ennard. He's weird. I like that weird stuff. But I don't know if I was just getting older or the game was just actually worse, but I just couldn't get behind it. Over time, obviously, I've grown to appreciate the games more, appreciate the atmosphere, how weird it is. I like that sort of weird stuff. But still, this is kind of a iffy game for me. Better than the 4th, for sure, but iffy. It was definitely the decline of my interest in the series. That's it. It's over. It's finally over. I can go home. Damn it. Pizzeria Simulator. I don't have much to say about this game because it came out in an odd spot for me. It came out during a time where I really wasn't interested in the Five Nights at Freddy's series at all. I was in a recession, I would call it. I didn't really care for the series. I was done with it for the time being. Maybe I'd pick it back up, but, I just wasn't into it. It came out at the wrong time for me. Going back now, I've played it a bit, and it is a perfectly fine game. My favorite aspect is making your own pizzeria. I love that. I like those sort of tycoon games, make your own roller coaster amusement park, and, obviously rake in as much money as you can, get bigger, get better. I love those kinds of games. And that made Pizzeria Simulator one of my favorite games, just the pizzeria building aspect wise. The night segments, I like how you have tasks to do, like print flyers, make blah blah blah, order cups, clean the toilets. I like how you have to do all that stuff because it's realistic. And it's weird in a way. Like, it's weird that a game would make you do all these things. It's weird that you can unclog the toilets from an office. It's weird that you have to do this with murder robots. I think it's a very good game looking back on it. It just came out at a time where I really wasn't into the series and I couldn't get behind it because of that fact. But overall, good game. Okay, that's it. That's it. I'm finally done. Okay, he just either said to look at the spin-offs or to look at anything but the spin-offs, so I'm gonna look at the spin-offs. FNAF World is the first spin-off that comes to many people's minds, and you know what? Haven't played it. No comment. Came out at a time where I wasn't interested in the series, and I really just can't be bothered to play it. It looks fine overall, but I just can't get behind the art style and the art direction of the game overall. Now the VR game, again, it's interesting. I've played it once before. It was at my friend's house because I don't have a VR headset. I know. But it was at my friend's house, and it scared the living hell out of me. I loved it. It really just put that spark right up in me again. Ooh. I loved it. It was so creepy to just be there, probably because it had the atmosphere of the first games that I really liked. It was weirdly dark, but in a oddly kid-friendly way. I don't know how to describe it, but it had that same atmosphere, and I loved that. And being in there first person, that was terrifying. Like having to do literally anything. I was shaking. It was just so fun to play and get scared at. I love the VR game. It is a shame that I cannot play it anymore because I am not at friend house. But it is, if you have the ability to play it, I recommend you play it because it is just it's scary. And it's good, it's dark, it's weird. I like it. The AR game, on the other hand, I don't like the AR game. Okay? Did I get that across? I got hyped for it. It looked cool. I was like, oh, it's gonna be Pokemon Go-ish. You hold up your phone, you look around your room. Oh, there's Freddy Fazbear coming to bite my head off. Wonderful. It wasn't like that at all. I knew the graphics would not look as good as the trailers. I expected that. But the graphics have like this sort of weird look to me. I don't know. It looks really high quality, but at the same time, low quality. I don't know how to describe it. It's like they took a very high-res model and then just, ooh, right onto the phone. And then there's the gameplay. I hate it. I'm sorry. I cannot get behind it. It's just the same thing every single time. And it doesn't work for me. Like, I tried doing the zappy zap. Nothing happens. Collecting the souls, the remnant can do that just fine. But I can't actually face the animatronics. I can't. And ever since I downloaded it day one, I've refused to play it because it's unplayable in my opinion. It's just a bad game. It's literally the only Five Nights at Freddy's game that I would actually consider to be bad. And finally, there's the books. I love the books. Okay. The first 3 books, it's a great trilogy. The first one is my favorite one by far. In fact, I think they kind of go in order with their quality. The first one is my favorite, the second one's my second favorite, and the third one's my third favorite. That doesn't mean the third one's a bad book, by the way. It is still a really good book, even if it's called the fourth closet. But I love the first book. I remember, like, the day it came out, my friend was super excited. He was telling me, like, hey, guess what? I'm gonna go get the Five Nights at Freddy's book at Barnes & Noble after school. I'm so excited. Come on. I didn't go, obviously, because I'm a lame-azoid. But I did get the book on a Kindle. E-readers. I remember, like, a few years after it came out, we had this, like, assignment. You gotta read a horror book because it's horror spooky time, and then we'll do something in class. So I read Silver Eyes for it. I still think Silver Eyes is probably one of the greatest horror novels that I've read. It's just creepy and weird, and it actually has, like, semi-okay characters for a horror novel. Like, I don't really see that in a lot of books. Stephen King is definitely, in my opinion, the best horror writer. That's just such an obvious, blatant opinion. Scott Cawthon does a really good job. Like, when he's describing how Springtrap's dying, you know, when Charlie reaches in and she goes, and then the Springtrap suit, you know, spring locks fail. Like, that was really creepy to me. The first time I read it, like, oh. And then, like, that character that gets his head hit, he gets tied up, he's in the spring lock suit. Like, that was a tense moment, because you knew at any minute, like, he could die. I just think it was a really good book. Really great horror novel. Other than the original 3 books, I've read 2 others, The Survival Log and The Ultimate Guide, or whatever that second one's called. They're fine books if you're a fan. It's about what you'd expect, actually. Nothing too, like, outstandingly amazing, but still, really good books. I did it. I made a retrospective video on the Five Nights at Freddy's series. This series came out when I was a lot younger, and as such, it's ingrained in my mind, and it's become nostalgic for me. And I really love these games. I think that they're really just great. And they mean a lot to me. Playing them nowadays, I was brought back to a simpler time, before the world was big. Back to Thanksgiving 2014. That day, downloading Five Nights at Freddy's 2 after asking my mom, hey, can I get this game on my phone? It didn't sound like that then. It was simpler times. And I have it to blame for me having a YouTube channel. When I first found out about YouTube, I was like, oh, I want to do that. I'll do Minecraft videos, sure, because I watched Minecraft. But then Five Nights at Freddy's came out, and I was like, oh, I want to play this game for an audience. Or, oh, I want to speculate theories for an audience. I never, of course, did that, and eventually made a channel in 2017 when storytime animations were the big thing. And, well, you can see how well that went. But overall, these games, for almost 6 years, have been a part of my life. It shaped it. And I have one man to thank for that. Scott Cawthon, you are not watching this. I can guarantee it. This is a small channel, under 1,000 subscribers, whose videos get on average maybe 30 views. So there's no chance that you're watching this. But I want to thank you. I just said spirit, maybe. But thank you for such an amazing set of games. The first 4 really are just so meaningful to me. And the other ones aren't bad too. You did good. So I wanted to just say thank you, Scott, for some pretty awesome games. That's about it.